Hello and welcome to Banking Frontiers Live. This is the Digital Leadership Series by Banking Frontiers. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the platforms where I introduce you to some of the best digital leaders in the financial services space. Today, I am going to introduce you to one of the most inspiring digital leaders who has really made a remarkable achievement in this space by not just introducing app-based banking, digital banking, anywhere banking, but also created a variety of experiences for the financial services sector. I take pleasure in introducing you to Deepak Sharma, who is the Chief Digital Officer and the Head of Innovations at Kotak Bank. So, Deepak, apps have redefined the way banking is done. Open API has really created new realms of possibilities in the world of banking and especially app banking. With apps gaining so much of popularity on one side, on the other side, the people wanting a lot of transformation within the existing app. Like, for example, people are looking at having lighter apps so that they don't have to eat too much of the bandwidth or the memory space of the phones. So, what kind of new trends are you seeing in app based banking, and where is it heading for the future in the eyes of a digital expert like you?
All I can say is we are seeing there are many ways in which people are looking at connecting with their bank. While app continues to be the preferred way to connect, and say for a bank like us, so I think we have moved now to more like any tech company bringing frequent release, adding new features, learning from what customers like about it, or what are the comments they are posting on App Store or Play Store or through other channels. And I think that has been a constant journey of learning, bringing in new use cases, new experiences. All apps were transaction apps. So you were to first sign up as a customer in an offline world, become a customer of a bank, and then you download an app and then you start doing some transactions. With 811, we changed that paradigm first to say apps are not just for transaction. You can even become a customer of a bank by downloading an app. And that's why I think one of our campaign was download your bank. Then we said customers are not just looking at starting the journey and transacting, but they would like to do a lot more in their life. So we started building a lot many use cases, what we call everyday banking or a lifestyle. So that's where we got likes of IRCTC or Ola or probably Go Ibibo and many other partners, Flipkart and all that in our app. So our app started to become more like super app. Then we said the customers are also not just looking at this for transactions beyond banking, but they also want to see how I can get served here. Because our data showed that a lot of customers were still calling call center in case if something is broken. So we started bringing in all kind of probability service requests that you can think of, for which you will call or you will visit a branch. Uh, then we realized that the customers that we were attracting are not just the customers of 2012, 2013 when the first wave of app came, but a lot of our customers were young millennials and Gen Z. So conversation became their way of banking. And we integrated conversational banking onto our app. And then we realized that an app with a conversation was a very powerful way because you can chat within the app, you can do all the transactions, you can open a bank account, and then customers started seeing a lot more value. And today, as we speak, I think we have almost close to 25 million customers messages that we have processed through conversational banking. Uh, Now, question is, what's next? And I think the way we are seeing things, one is the voice and vernacular is going to be the way because now we are seeing a lot many new users are coming from towns and cities and rural and semi-urban area where English is not their primary language. So we have started to already build some conversational UI, starting with our website and taking it in other medium to bring languages. We are also realizing that the voice is a very powerful medium in India, and that's how we started to build a lot of voice-based user interface. So if we see the future of app, I think it will be a multi-experience. Some customers would prefer voice as a medium, some will prefer chat, some will still like to see a transactional UI. And I think app will get repurposed more to be what I call your everyday app. That means it has to be one of those five apps on your phone's home screen. Today, it is there in a lot of cases, but not everywhere. Still, you have, say, a WhatsApp or an Instagram occupying one of those five apps on your home screen. And that means that we will continue to have multi-version of app. There'll be a lighter app. There'll be an app that will be repurposed, app which will be highly personalized. So, say, four of us today on this call, we have very different requirements with the bank. Apps will get hyper personalized based on customer profile, based on the relationship, and based on the data that we have about customers using AI. The way I see the future of app is it will be hyper personalized. We will all see a different version of the same app, which is personalized to what we do with the bank. And I think that's a fundamental shift. The second is, as I mentioned, it will be the UI will change from just conversational to a vernacular to having probably a voice, messaging. All that will get integrated, and we will also start seeing a lot more of light apps because as we start building more and more of the app, a lot of users who are light touch users, uh, they always want something which is, say, a progressive web app, which looks like an app, but it's typically you are not still storing 30, 40 MB, even though data is no more as big an issue as probably 3 years back it was. But then still is a preference of a lot of customers. And we will start seeing already, like or what I mentioned in our case, as we integrated with many use cases beyond financial service. I think apps will start also resembling a lot of ecosystem play. So you will start to see increasingly a lot many more use cases. Famously, what I call internally, it will be like a Google toothbrush test, where we are designing apps which people use at least once a day, like toothbrush. Better they do it twice a day, just like you prefer a toothbrush, people should brush twice, but at least it should be once. And I think a financial app will start passing that test to say, is this an app that people open at least once a day? And I think that's how we are looking at the future of app in Kotak's context.
So, Deepak, innovations are really inspiring for everybody. Some innovations are ahead of time, some innovations are on time, and some innovations are late. But one thing is very sure, there are a lot of innovations happening all over the world. And visionary leaders like you have been observing all these innovations and trying to Indianize it or customize it according to our requirements of the market. So, Deepak, if you see some of the interesting global trends in innovation, what are those kind of innovations that you think are very inspiring or you would like to get it into the Indian markets and create a lot of revolution into the Indian industry?
But I think learning from different markets, different industries, not just financial service. I think for us, the learning comes a lot more outside financial service industry, especially when we look at markets like China, or probably markets out there like Israel and other parts. I think what we finally at the end of it we do is we see what is still relevant in our context. Because for me, the after doing a lot of stuff, pretty innovative things many years ago, you know it. For example, we're the first one to launch a banking on Twitter about some 7, 8 years back. We did a lot of crazy stuff. Somewhere we realized that innovation alone doesn't matter. Finally, if you are too ahead of customer will say, you go your way, I'll go my way. So I think innovation has to be relevant, it has to be contextual, and it has to bring value to the firm. And I think that's why uh, in last few years, we took calls, a deliberate call not to do a lot of things. And I think a lot of these things, picking up and deciding what not to do, is as much a part of innovation than deciding just what to do. And I think that's the journey that we have embarked on. But learning, I think, as you rightly asked, the question is where do we see a lot of future of financial service? I think one is definitely in my mind, it's going to be API based. The open banking is the way. We probably were one of the first banks to launch an open banking platform with over 50 APIs, a developer portal to get the developers, enterprises, uh, fintechs connect with us. Because we believe that banks cannot do everything of themselves. And second is you cannot expect large corporates to always come and access your channels or the banking channels to do banking. So I think as a part of our API, we looked at what we call a connected banking initiative. That means banking is invisible layer across a lot of ecosystem play. So, say a company like Cisco wants to do banking with Kotak, and if they are our customers, I don't know whether you are, Kunal, but if not, you should. Uh, we have today, say, for example, our cash management APIs, which are integrated in the ERP systems of the bank, or we are getting the trade APIs integrated. So, uh, the treasurer or people in accounts, finance who have to upload, have to view transactions, make payment, view payment, they can do it from their own corporate portal. So that is one example. Or probably if there are accounting softwares, if there are third-party plugin, for example, a recon that a society wants to do of all the payments that we make to our society, that who has made a payment, who has not made a payment. Now, recon is an API that can get integrated within, say, a apartment adda or your MyGate kind of app that all of us use in our respective society. So I think that is one big trend I'm seeing, that banking will become an invisible layer through APIs, connected banking. It will also foster the speed of innovation because it will create an ecosystem of partners who will continue to think of new problem statements using the banking APIs, payment APIs, credit APIs, refund APIs, and all these kind of APIs will increasingly start getting used. Uh, Second, I think what we are seeing increasingly is India is very soon going to have our own data privacy regulation, similar to what we saw in GDPR and increasingly how the world is moving. That also means that all industries will have to relook at how they are using data and the whole model that firms are building basis data led model. I think is going to become increasingly the way for firms to build a responsible business around customers because customers can provide or revoke permission as they wish. And I think one has to provide meaningful value to the customer for the data that we all have of customer. The third I think I see is AI is going to become more and more embedded in everything that we do in financial service. Right from a facial match for accessing, say, a banking channel to when you walk in into a branch or a bearer getting recognized when he's doing transaction on behalf of an account holder, or probably a elderly person has to provide a living proof of life for pension or for submission of their annual declarations, to probably AI getting used for fraud, to risk, to early warning systems for security. So I think increasingly we are going to see a AI first kind of an approach in everything, as I said, credit, risk, security, authentication, analytics, marketing, product, customer behavior. We will also start seeing a lot more of what we call digital. So earlier we used to call our strategy as phygital, largely led by the physical infrastructure that is branch and people, supported by technology. And that's how the term of phygital came in. But I think now what we call is a new term. Internally, we have started, I haven't read it anywhere, so I can claim that we are probably the first ones to coin it. What we call is digital, which is more of digital and less of physical. So it will be digital led, physically enabled. That means there are relationship managers, there are salespeople, they are all going to be there. But a lot of journeys will start with digital. Customers will do a lot of it themselves. They will get assisted wherever they get stuck. And I think increasingly we will see a tech led models more supported by people. So I think these are some of the larger trends that I see how banks will emerge. Obviously, a lot more of process, people, and premises will get repurposed. Premises repurposed for what these premises will do if more people continue to work from home. then I think it will strike a balance between work from office or work from home infrastructure. It also means a lot more of collaboration tools that will come in for people to co-work, co-create, run projects uh, when they are operating out of different locations. Because while IT companies were ahead in this, financial service, except those who were running large uh, global offices or back office, were still not doing that to that scale. So I think when you look at global examples and Indian context, I'm sure offshoring was a big thing for large global banks, so they knew it. But Indian banks, they never needed this kind of the mix of working remotely and working from office. So I think a lot more in terms of people collaborate, co-create will fundamentally also change as we see the world ahead.
Thank you very much for taking out your time in midst of the COVID crisis, in midst of all this action that is happening in the digital world. I think the entire organization is banking upon the digital teams now to take their businesses to the next level, thanks to the kind of challenges posed by this current situation. We look forward to a lot more interesting insights with you, and we would like to share all your thoughts with the industry and like to benefit the entire sector with these wonderful insights from your side. Thank you very much.